The headlines tonight on Dateline 2018. In a shock announcement, US President Donald Trump says he's sorry for the unmitigated disaster of his presidency thus far and pledges to disinherit his horrible children and give his entire fortune to charity.
The beacon of ethical integrity that is the UK Conservative Party this week saw their lily-white reputation sullied with the accusation of dark money deeply penetrating the People's Party.
And the question that's flummoxed the greatest thinkers and laziest comedians of our age: what exactly is it that Meatloaf won't do for love?
Like a pina colada on the bus to work, it's all downhill from here.
This is Dateline 2018. Good evening and welcome to Dateline 2018. The world awoke this morning to the shocking news that US President Donald Trump spent most of last night unconscious and under close medical supervision, forcing Vice President Mike Pence to take the reins of power under Section 1 of the 25th Amendment of the US Constitution for around 45 minutes. But the news which the world is still reeling from came after President Trump's return to the White House following discharge by his medical team. Our Washington correspondent Colette Coleman has more.
It was around 10 p.m. last night, Eastern Standard Time, that US President Donald Trump is said to have hit his head on a sink whilst trying to hang a clock, inducing what doctors are calling a severe concussion, while Mr. Trump is said to be in fine health. Sources close to the president say the incident has left him changed.
With President Trump's consent, I released the following health information. Vitals as follows. Age 71 years and 7 months at the time of the exam, height 75 inches, weight 239 pounds, resting heart rate 68.
Upon waking, the president is quoted as saying, "I don't want to go down in history as a total arsehole."
It's hard for me to say I'm sorry. I just want you to know.
And immediately began the work of rescinding every executive order issued since his taking office. As dawn broke this morning, Mr. Trump issued a full and frank apology to the American people, but especially to his poor, poor wife.
I pledge to be a better man tomorrow. I was wrong, and I apologize.
I will make it up to you. I promise to.
He also floated some new policy ideas intended to mitigate the unquestionable disaster of his presidency thus far.
Universal health care.
I am going to take care of everybody. I don't care if it costs me votes or not. Everybody's going to be taken care of much better than they're taken care of now.
Who pays for it?
The government's going to pay for it, but we're going to save so much money on the other side.
We will be working in partnership with our friends in Mexico to dismantle the border. A nation without borders, we want that to happen.
Since the news broke last night, a shoot-to-kill order has been issued following Vice President Mike Pence's dramatic escape from police custody.
Shots fired.
Authorities have said not to panic and that a concerted effort is underway by the US Border Patrol Agency, the FBI and Mexican authorities. Sources close to the president were quoted earlier as saying, "If we knew it was going to be this easy, we'd have hit him on the head a long time ago." This is Colette Coleman for Dateline 2018 in Washington, D.C.
You're watching Dateline 2018 and you can tweet or follow us on Instagram at Dateline 2018 and we're on Facebook.com/Dateline.
Please do let us know what you think. After all, this is your show.
Obviously it's not really, it's ours, and well, we'll decide what's best for you.
Up until this week, the UK Conservative Party has been a brand synonymous with ethical accounting, fiscal transparency and grassroots donations from hard-working regular folk, as opposed to big business and shady corporate interests. But accusations have emerged this week to shock and appall, and in some cases arouse, the political establishment. Even we in the media were amazed that we couldn't make the story go away. And believe us, we tried. Joining us now from our studio in Borchester is the Labour Party's chief political strategist, George Deary. Mr. Deary, obviously your party must be making great play out of these allegations. It doesn't look very good for the Tories, does it?
Well, I think we've always known that Jeremy Corbyn has had close ties to dark money.
I think we may have an issue with the line here, Mr. Deary. I was actually asking you about the allegations of dark money to the Tory party, not your own.
No, Jeremy Corbyn has always been elusive about his ties to dodgy income sources for the party.
That's as may be, although I'm not sure that is the case. Look, I'm talking about the Conservative Party. This should be an open goal for the Labour Party spokesperson. You must have some opinions on the Conservative Party's use of alleged dark money behind its funding.
Well, the Tories are the party in power. I mean, they've got so much to do, and there's so much on their hands, like Brexit and what have you. But the Labour Party surely has got to get its own house in order first.
I can't believe you're using this as an opportunity to do down your own party. And what? Because of Brexit? I'm confused. Do you have a position on Brexit?
No.
Could you perhaps just clarify the Labour Party's position on Brexit? OK, I'm afraid we're running low on time there, Mr. Deary. I'll just give you a final opportunity to voice any criticisms you might have about the Conservative Party and not Labour's alleged use of dark money to fund their campaigns.
Better dark money than a Corbyn government.
George Deary, Chief Policy Strategist for the Labour Party, thank you.
Thank you.
This is Dateline 2018, where we are dedicated to facts, affordable dining experiences and the pursuit of truth. And it's with that in mind that we turn to our next segment. It's the part of the show where we address some of your concerns about our reporting.
It's the section where you, the unqualified viewer, question our journalistic integrity.
You, the armchair blogger, the midnight tweeter, the sort of person who puts in their Twitter bio that their views don't reflect those of their employer, but who only has 15 followers, gets to impugn our good name. Now, James, I believe you have the first letter there.
I do, Jack, yes. This week we have a letter from a lady called Beth Anderson from a little village just outside Chichester called Little Rectum, and she writes, Dear Dateline 2018, on last week's programme you mistakenly confused my sadly late but much beloved grandfather George Anderson, a hero of both the Second World War and his local community, with the notorious war criminal Slobodan Milosevic. This has caused myself and my family a great deal of distress, and we would greatly appreciate a retraction. Yours faithfully, Beth Anderson.
And for viewers who may have missed that segment last week, we can see a quick clip of it now. The notorious war criminal lived out his final days in hiding under the name of George Anderson at 43 The Green, Little Rectum.
While he is dead, he is survived by several members of his family who are almost certainly complicit in his evasion of justice. Of course, we don't advocate the use of vigilante force, but that is the address. And we would like to apologise for our error there.
We'd like to, but in fairness, he does look a lot like Slobodan Milosevic.
I mean, can we put pictures up side by side? Oh, come on, Beth.
Come on.
Come on, you can see how that happened.
Well, look, we all make mistakes sometimes, Beth. For instance, yours faithfully, it doesn't have an apostrophe, but you don't see us writing to your work about it.
You've made mistakes, we've made mistakes. I tell you what, when we get an apology from you, you'll get an apology from us. Now, as the world continues to turn on its axis, so too the cup continues to turn on its pedestal or something.
Football. It's inexplicably important to a lot of people, and that's why we've spared no expense in our coverage.
It's over to our dedicated World Cup correspondent in Russia. It's Harry Spring.
Oh, that's good, that is. Nice and cool. Oh, yeah, hello. Still in Russia. Having a great time. My wife won't let me see kids anymore. But anyway, Russia, yeah, great.
Harry, can you tell us anything about the football, though?
What, 22 grown men running around a f***ing field trying to put a balloon into a f***ing net? Yeah. What's so f***ing great about that?
Harry Spring, clearly in a lot of trouble when he gets back. And finally, it's a question that's plagued idiots and second-rate stand-up comedians for a quarter of a century. When Meatloaf said he'd do anything for love, but he wouldn't do that, what is it that he wouldn't do? Well, we asked our music correspondent Colette Coleman to investigate.
Will you raise me up? Will you help me down? Will you get me right out of this God-forsaken town? Will you make it all a little less cold?
I can do that.
I can do that.
Taking an awfully long time to get to the point of this, Colette.
Will you cater to every fantasy I've got? Will you hose me down with holy water if I get too hot? Will you take me to places I've never known?
Yeah, I can do that.
I'll do that.
I can do that.
No, we're not doing it together.
I know the territory I've been around. It'll all turn to dust and we'll all fall down.
Now, just wait a minute.
Sooner or later you'll be screwing around.
I won't do that.
I won't do that.
I won't do that.
He won't do that. That's what he won't do. He won't cheat on her. That's it. He says it in the song, he always has, so that's it. No one's ever allowed to make that joke ever again.
Right, that's it. Show's over. Off you go.